Hey. So, back with the Gene Keys, right? I told y'all we was going to be diving into a lot of different chapters in this book because my all-time favorite book right now, and it's just a lot of gems. So the way I'm going to go about it today, last week, I was having one of my moments, and I'm like, you know what? Let me use like an oracle. I needed the answer to a problem, a situation that I was going through. And basically, in a nutshell, it wasn't it was not a big deal. I was blowing something out of proportion in my mind. You know when you create a narrative sometimes when you don't have an answer for something, and I realized I was doing that, and I'm like, you know what, Trinity, you don't know what's going on in that situation. But it wasn't a situation where it's like, okay, well, let me ask this like it wasn't that deep. It was like something very minor, and where I was creating something out of nothing. So it wasn't like worth a talking to, but I knew that I was trying to find an answer to something. Anywho, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the book about it. Because I'm gonna start spiraling, and there's nothing to be spiraling about. So I was like, I like this message, and I think it's relevant to a lot of people just based on the city and I don't know if I pronounced that word right, y'all. And the Gene Key that I was talking about. So I was like, you know what? That's the one I want to share. That's what I want to share with y'all. I'm gonna share that with my people. I gotta take this to my channel. So, 50-second Gene Key. The city is stillness. Remember, that's like the highest form, the highest version. Ooh, I'm spinning. The gift is restraint, and the shadow is stress. I'm like, all of us stress, right? All of us are probably feeling stressed right now, like inflation and everything else is going on in the world. Like it's getting really ghetto, right? So I was like, stress. We can talk about stress. Let's dive into that. Let's unpack that. Let's talk about what to do with that. So the way I want to read it to y'all this time, I don't want to start at the beginning breaking it down. I want to actually talk about who it would resonate with. That way, if you like, oh, okay, you know, I have felt that way or have been feeling that way, then you can, you know, listen through. If you feel like, I can't relate, that don't got nothing to do with me, don't waste your time. Like, it's okay. So anywho, with the Gene Keys, each one talks about a repressive nature and a reactive nature. So that's like the setup of the book. Like it'll talk about how this trait will show up in you when it's repressed, like it's hidden, and when it's reactive. So when you're like reacting, what's another word for that? Like when it's showing up out loud. So when it's not hidden, right? The opposite of hidden is like when it's present. So what I underlined here, I said that repressive nature. So if you like keeping it in, these people never really get off the ground. It leads to a deep feeling of being stuck. One enters deep states of depression and apathy. So if you watched my first video, was that on Gene Key 1? Don't have me lying. I think it was. It's similar, but it's different. So I'm like, oh, you already talked about that. No, it's different. So stay tuned. As these people give up on themselves, the adrenal system can actually atrophy, leaving them physically impeded in some way. One of the only means of lifting oneself free of such a state is to find a way to be of service to others. So that's a new concept that we didn't talk about. Last time it was more about, you know, self and depression. This time it's talking about how being of service to others is what's going to help you get unstuck. Last time it was more about you and what you need to do for yourself and allowing like your own gifts or whatever to resonate. And then there is a deep genetic need in the 50-second gift to help others. And when this urge is engaged gradually, one can find one's life force returning. Okay, so basically with this one, to become unstuck in this one, it's about what you do for others and how you use whether it's your passion, your gift, your time to service others. So honestly, I feel like what I'm doing on YouTube, yes, I enjoy it, but by me breaking down this book, sharing my own stories, my own connections, and using my own brain and intellect and wisdom and personal experiences and knowledge that I have from 808. I keep seeing 808. So if you are into numerology and you want to tell me like what your meaning of 808 is, I would love to hear it. Of course, I've looked it up. But anywho, I'm squirreling. But yes, I feel like that is me servicing others. Like I'm providing a service here free of charge on YouTube, sharing with y'all. So that's one way that I can be of service of others, just to give an example how I'm using my gifts to service others. So the reactive nature, so if you're like letting it show up and come out in physical form, this is what it sounds like. These are people who are unable to sit still. Okay, so the busybodies out there. Reactive natures by their nature try to escape their fear through activity. Okay, so if this fear is showing up in you and you're not repressing it, but you're also not dealing with it, you're not confronting it, so you just are trying to be completely active and busy. So no, for me at one point, not now, but it was a gym, so I'm like, okay, I'm just like a workoutaholic, right? Or workaholics, people who like, I know they say, ooh, not the battery dying. I know they say girls and like black girls and black women especially like they will get out of a relationship and then like go get a new degree, right? Or go get a new job or do a career change. So this is like people like that. If you know that like, okay, if something's going on, if I have a fear or something, I'm stressing about something, this is how I'm responding. However, these people mask their fear through projecting their frustration and anger onto others. So yeah, you being a busybody, but then you start doing a lot of projecting. Fortunately, I'm at a space where I usually can catch myself before or when I find myself projecting on someone. Took a process, took time to get there. And I try to think before I speak. I'm really mindful of that because I like to talk and share and think anyway. So usually I'm aware of what's about to come out. I don't know how something will resonate with someone, how it's going to land, but I do think about like what I say beforehand. But some people do not, and they just start projecting, and that's something that has also helped me when dealing with other people. I can usually identify when someone is doing that, when they're projecting their fears onto me, when they're projecting their insecurities on me, and I can usually identify like they probably don't even know. So, you know, if you feel like it's worth a conversation, then definitely have a conversation with the person. But if that's something you do, I would say definitely if somebody tells you that or if you see it, start trying to check it. Like, because that's not okay. It takes a certain level of emotional maturity to get there. It does take practice, but if you do that, be willing to say, you know what, that wasn't even about you. That was about me. Like, I got some stuff that I need to deal with, and that wasn't about you. That is being an emotionally intelligent, responsible, mature individual. Okay, it's taking accountability and ownership for your own situations. And sometimes it happens to the best of us. I'm not saying I'm never going to do it again, but it's not a habit for me. So I think it would be a healthy and positive habit if you are in that restless, reactive nature being restless, and you are projecting your insecurities and fears on others. Figure out what that is and why that is. All right. I had a lot to say about that, clearly. Let's see. The restless aspect of stress is based upon overstimulation of the adrenal glands, producing more energy than one needs. So that's why you're restless and trying to go through all these different activities. You're overstimulated. And I'll start feeling overstimulated sometimes. And you have more energy than you know what to do with. Whole nother story about something else that I was going to tell y'all about. But anywho, had an experience and I had to like go, literally, I had way too much like energy downloaded, whatever. And I could like physically see like just my hands, it was crazy, y'all. But I had to go and like ground. Like that was what saved it. It was like some Kundalini energy stuff going on with me. So that's a different type of energy. You might be on that page, you might not. But it was just too much. Like I was not able to sleep. Like I wasn't drunk hot. Like I couldn't sleep. Like I just like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to write. Maybe I'm supposed to do it. Like it just was too much. Like I'll go to work and I'm just like, what the heck? Like I'm not sleeping at night. And I had to go ground and give that energy back to the universe. Like that's the one thing I read where it actually helped. I'm like, okay, let me like ground, give it back to Mother Nature. Like, thank you. I appreciate you for, you know, I'm spitting for blessing me with this energy. You know, I receive it, but there is more than I know what to do with. So let me give it back to you. And it worked for me. Let me continue. These people often burn themselves out in life. So burnout, I've been through that. But it wasn't because I had too much energy though. The secret is to see through their own mental dynamic and discover the deep fear that drives them. By confronting and embracing this fear, they'll gradually erode its hold over them and learn to activate their gift of restraint. All right, so figure out what is that deep fear driven by? Like, why is it there? That's the answer. That's the secret. So now, if you like, okay, maybe I am the repressive nature of this gene key and I'm stuck, or maybe I'm the reactive nature of this gene key and I'm restless. Let's go back and talk a bit more about what this gene key was to this shadow of stress. So remember, the shadow, it's like the part of you that is that you need to work on. Like your shadow, like your lower self is like what you need to work on to be able to grow and advance in like the frequencies, for lack of a better term. So of course we all know what stress is, but in terms of the shadow on this gene key, says we need to understand something very important about stress. It's a collective pressure and not a personal pressure. It is an energy field generated by every human being alive rather than being rooted in any specific personal issue. That was some perspective for me because I've never looked at stress like that. Like, this is like, you know, my situation. This is my stress. I'm stressed out. I got to deal with this. I got to fix it. Like, this is about me. Like, this is my stress. When they said that this is not a personal pressure, like it's a collective pressure. So when they talk about collective, they're talking about like collective conscious, like basically all human form, all human consciousness. Like it's a collective, right? And when they said it is an energy field generated by every human being alive. So that stressful energy, like that field of stress, is generated by all of us. So it's not just our stress. So we may think it's just our situation, yeah. However, that stress is like, it's deeper than that. Let me continue. When you are in the same room as someone else, you share each other's auras. So I think many people are familiar with auras for the most part. So I'm not going to go too deeply into auras. But that is connecting to that whole energy field and how we share that stress. However, because of the huge population currently existing on our planet, it is no longer possible to entirely escape the vast collective energy field of humanity. Now, remember, I don't read the whole book to y'all, okay? You have to buy the book. This is this man's book. I'm not going to sit on here and read his book for the free, right? But I am going to read pieces, so I am bouncing around in the book. But that part, I think that is very important because it's explaining that, like, at one point, we were able to kind of, you know, isolate ourselves and like not be around others' energy. And even now, I still say, like, you know, like I just need to decompress. I need some time to myself. Like, I know my energy is off and I'm big on that. Like, if Trinity's energy is off, Trinity will remove herself. Trinity will decline invitations because I'm not going to do that. I'd rather you feel a way towards me, like, dang, she didn't show up, or dang, she didn't want to come, than me get there and my energy is off and now I'm like throwing off the mood. And that's one thing, like, I'm not going to show up and be rude and have an attitude, but energy is a real thing. So people can feel it. People can sense that. So I think that's how people should move. You should not be showing, if your energy is off, you should sit down. Like, you should sit that one out and it's okay. And if you have, I feel like, mature, responsible, emotionally intelligent friends or family members, typically they understand it. Now, if it's a big event, they may not understand. I don't know. But typically they understand that and they can respect it. Like, dang, you know, this person's energy is off and they're looking out for me. They don't want to bring that to my event, my function, whatever it is that I'm having. It's not the same as, like, I know some people try to say, well, you know, well, just don't be rude or don't act that way, or like, don't be mad. Like, you know, like, check your emotions. It's not about that. Like, it's energy. It's like this unseen force. People are going to feel it. So even if you're trying to like be happy, right, it don't work that way. So that's what I have to say about that. But because it was talking about how we're in such close proximity to one another and everything, and like I don't like to say overpopulated and population, all of that, but because there's like more people around, you know, apartments, buildings, everything is closer to one another. We're in close proximity. It's kind of hard to escape that, what is the word they use? The vast collective energy field of humanity. So we're going to feel each other's energy, even if it's like not directly, like if we were all hanging out together and it's like, okay, like homegirl over here, her energy is off, versus like I'm in my apartment, they in their apartment, and it's just like, I guess subconsciously, look, I don't know all the science behind it, but I guess subconsciously we still, like, it's still interfering with one another. Human DNA is a fascinating substance. The chemical codes contained within DNA, although locked in from birth, are highly sensitive to vibrating energy fields. So I don't remember when it was, but I remember at one point, like, the whole good vibes, positive vibes, he's my vibe, she's my vibe, what else do people be saying? But anywho, that whole vibration, like, I feel like that phrase, like, it's it started being popular and used a lot. I feel like it's overused at this point, but I remember it became a thing out of nowhere. And I don't know if y'all remember, but there was a one point where that's not what we were saying, and now like everybody's saying it. Like I just want to be around some good vibes. Like if you don't got good vibes, don't come around me. Like that type of thing, right? So it's saying that it's basically saying that, not saying, I feel like this is breaking down what vibrating and vibrations really mean. I think a lot of people use that term and they don't quite grasp like the real meaning behind it. So like positive vibrations, like, yeah, you know, you want to have a good time, you don't want negative people around you, or like energy, but energy, frequencies, vibrations, those are like real things. That does go back to genetics and DNA and science. So I love that like people all want that and we're using that, but it is really it is a real thing. There are really energy fields. There are really vibrations, and it says that although it's locked in from birth, it's highly sensitive to vibrating energy fields. So we are sensitive to one another's vibes, or sensitive to one another's energy fields. So I definitely want to share that, because I just want to share a little not science, because science, that's not my thing, but that in a nutshell, that's my like way to simplify it for you. It's my understanding. You know, if you want deeper scientific understanding of it, go look that up, because this ain't the place for that. But I feel like it's deeper than just saying like, you know, just knowing like, oh yeah, good vibes. You know, like I want the good vibes. I want to go where the vibes is at. Like that's a little bit of science for you. So this means that your environment greatly affects how you feel and behave, and most importantly, it influences who you think you are. So another important aspect that I wanted to touch on in this video is environment. When you can have control over your environment, I think you should choose spaces where there are high vibrations, right? I know also food, plates. So like I know a lot of people are like, oh, I love my little vibrational plate. Like I know that's, people crack jokes and stuff when they know they're about to consume some bad food. I get it, but like there's truth to that. Like if you're eating something that is dead, that is not living, right? Dead carcass, a dead animal, then yeah, it's not vibrating at a high frequency. It's low vibrating, versus if you're eating like something live, like a live plant, like a raw vegetable or something, right? Or drinking like a juice, eating some fruit or something of that nature. I'm not telling you be vegan, I'm not going there. I'm just saying that high vibrational plate, low vibrational plate, like where that whole concept comes from. And as far as your environment, it's the same concept. So this is gonna be a kind of longer video, which I'm okay with. Me personally, there was one point in my life where going out for me was fun. That was a good time. Like, yes, like the music, the drinks, the people, like the girls, as far as friends, the boys, like it was a vibe. Like I would use that and describe it as like, yeah, it was a vibe. Like it was lit. Like I want to go back outside. Like, you know, that was my thing. And then I got to a point in my life where I'm like, this is low vibrational as fuck. Like that's not my thing. I don't want to go there. And it was like Twilight Zone for me. I remember I had went out, and it's just like everything about it did not feel right to me. And I had been feeling that way, and I like I didn't just one day completely stop going out, right? It was like a gradual thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna go out, I'm sick of it. And then it's like, it's nothing else to do. All right, I'm gonna step out. And I kept trying it. I kept forcing myself to embrace those environments. So it was like I was fighting myself. It was like my higher self, my lower self, like, ooh, right? But I kept trying it. And then I kind of, over time, just got to a point where I'm like, no, unless I'm like celebrating someone that I care about, something they have going on, and like this is what they want to do, and I'm willing to, then I'll do it. But it's literally a once every blue moon for me. Like that's not the way that I care to celebrate stuff or myself. So that's not an environment I participate in. But yeah, it was like I remember the last time, I think it was the last time I went like out. And it was just like, just listening to the music. And I had a drink or two or something, like, so even in my like slightly tipsy mind, I could still sense that like the vibration of this is like really low. Like it just was like, I'm listening to the music and the lyrics, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. Like how many B's and H's and have have they just called us? Like, why are we like vibing to that? I'm like, how many times they gonna call us out our name? Put my mouth where and do, and how many times are we about to like say we just wanna F on him so he can give us some money? And it just was like, I don't agree with this stuff. Like, ooh, I don't, sorry, not sorry. Like, that's not the way I want to live my life. I don't agree with the message. I don't want nobody to talk to me like that. And I used to have that mentality of like, it's just music. It's just music. What we feed our mind, our body, like all of that stuff matters. And it shows up subconsciously. So you can say like, oh no, I don't. But subconsciously that stuff is impacting you. And so I've read that a lot of stuff, our mind, or is it our soul, our spirit, don't quote me, but does not know the difference. So I guess I know the example they provided is like with horror movies, when you watch it and like you jump or you flinch or you get scared because inside is it the spirit? I wish I knew. I wish I had to quote y'all. But like doesn't know the difference, that like that's not real. You're not really in danger right now. You're not really frightened. So if I'm like constantly listening to this type of music, like part of me knows like that's not how I'm living, but part of it is like being internalized and like, yeah, that's, you know, that's what you think, that's what you believe, that's what you like. So it gets dangerous, like if you consume too much of it. The other part, so it's the music, then drinking in general, like my body just, outside of just being a lightweight, stomach issues, the fact that alcohol is poison, I think my body overly understands that now, and it don't be messing with it. So that in itself, and it's like, well, you go here to listen to the music and like the drink, okay. And then it was just like even the signs, and I'm like looking at the messages, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. I don't like that. Like they degrading, they disrespectful. So I'm just like, all of this is like giving no. Like I don't agree with the lifestyle. I don't want to date a person who is like, that's their lifestyle. I don't want to be the type of girl who like engages on a regular basis in this type of lifestyle. The environment is not doing anything for me personally. And like I said, it once did. So I'm not knocking anybody. I'm not saying, oh, I'm just this good girl and I don't go out, I don't club, I don't drink, I don't like those type of, I'm not saying it. Like I've done it, I've experienced it, and that's not where I'm at. That does not bring me joy. It does not do anything for me. Prime example, if that's your business, right? If you're a promoter or you have a brand and it's a lifestyle brand and it's a lot of people who are into that lifestyle, you making money off of it and it's like feeding you and getting you what you need, then yeah, that's something that makes sense for you. If you're a promoter and you're getting paid to be there, to party, to kick it, that makes sense for you. If you get paid from doing one of the service, whether it's Bottle Girl, whatever it is, that makes sense for you. So I'm not knocking anyone who's doing it, putting that out there now. Not that I have to, but still, I respect however people do and get what they gonna do. That's y'all business. But I'm just making it crystal clear for me, for the analogy of what I'm talking about as far as environments. That's the number one environment that comes to me that I realized at one point this environment did serve me. I've met some friends. I made certain connections at one point. It was like, it was a good time for me. I met dudes that I've dated. Like, if I didn't go through dating certain types of, and I met some good dudes there, so I don't want to say like all dudes there like are a certain way. I don't believe that. But just saying that now I just rather not, because that's not going to be a shared activity. Like if you're spending a lot of your time there, then I'm kind of past that point in life. So I personally don't want to date a person who that's like still life to them. That's where they always at. But environments. So there are high vibrational environments, low vibration environment, medium vibrational environments. I don't know, but just being mindful of your environment. That is the big message right there. Your environment is created by the subatomic world of vibration. The frequency you are tuned to actually determines the environment, regardless of your physical geography. So that was the next point. So you can be like this high vibrating person, but still be in a low vibrational area. So that is what that is saying. So like if I'm operating on this higher frequency, so if everything, you know, with me is high vibrational, but I go to these environments, which I've done that. Like when I'm not drinking, I'm just kind of chilling. It's just boring for me. So I'd rather not go at all and put myself in that type of situation. But as long as I'm not going all the time, then I'm still cool. I don't feel like it's even, I don't know what happens subconsciously, so I'm not going to say that. But I still think on a conscious level that I'm okay and it doesn't do too much. So I can still, like I said, you don't have to completely stop going. But like I'll go on a celebration, an occasion, a birthday, but that's just not where I'm spending my time. But when I go there, I don't have to like operate at that lower frequency. Yeah. So that is also something that's like, I don't know, a light, something to feel good about, that you still can, if you are doing things to operate at a high vibrational level, that you still can go to low physically vibrating places and be all right. In the case of the 52nd shadow, the collective or extended phenotype of humanity is shaped by fear, which creates an environment that puts the physical organism under great stress. So that's another thing. It can cause stress. As far as raising your frequency, that's what this next paragraph is about. The only way to escape this collective programming field is to rise above it at an energetic level. You have to raise your frequency, like like I was just saying. Let's see. The secret is to change your inner environment. Okay, so this video's getting longer. Change your inner environment. So yeah, if you're gonna be in them low vibrational spaces, you got to change your inner environment. Your feelings and your thoughts. So if you have not changed your inner environment, so I just use myself for an example. So let's say that, I'm gonna be vulnerable. Like a younger version of me was still like, I don't know, still didn't have a strong concept of how, I guess, would it be like self-worth? And not like I thought I was pretty and all this other stuff, but as far as like treatment, like, right, like how I wanted to be treated, my standards, my boundaries, that stuff didn't quite exist yet. So my thoughts and my feelings, like going into spaces like this, and being willing to like date dudes who like approach you a certain type of way, or who like, I'm trying to think, that's the biggest one when I think of thoughts and feelings. It's like when you're in these spaces, your inner thoughts are enabling you to make certain decisions, to like talk to certain dudes, entertain certain dudes that you met in those spaces, that the more higher vibrating, the person who has more control of her inner environment, she wouldn't go for that. Like, nah. But it's part of learning and growing. So because I didn't like have that yet, but I was still going into those spaces, that's dangerous right there, baby. That's a recipe for disaster. So if you know that there's certain things that you're trying to work on, but your inner thoughts aren't there yet, then you probably should stay away from those certain environments until you fix your inner environment, until your thoughts and feelings are where you need them to be. So I think of young girls, and I see it, that like have these mentalities, and I'm not the whole like use dudes for money, or like, I don't know, like I don't think that way. But I know that's a thing. So if it's young girls who like, they thinking that that's what it's all about, and they just gonna F on these dudes and get this money and this and that, you know, that's their mentality. But if that's something that they didn't want, if you want that, do you, sis? But if you don't, and let's say it's a girl who doesn't want that, but she's trying to work on it, but she's going into that environment, and then she's hearing that music in the background, right? In her physical environment, she's hearing that. Then let's say that she's seeing like a bunch of dudes with money, and then they're like trying to talk to her, right? And then she's adding alcohol. So her physical environment and her inner environment still hasn't raised to that frequency yet. She's still working on that. So that might be some risky behavior. Like she might not want to be there and put herself in that situation. So that's what it all comes down to. I feel like discipline, self-awareness. I'm very big on self-awareness. Know yourself. Know what you can do and what you can partake in, and also know that subconscious programming. Subconscious programming and stuff. That's a thing. So even with us being aware of our inner environments, having control of it, also be aware that if you do something for too long, like that subconscious, that it may show up and you don't even realize it until after the fact. Like, dang, why did I do that? Okay. Let me see. I want to stop the video here. There's a lot of other places I could go. But I'm gonna stop there. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna stop there, y'all. So just 50-second Gene Key about stress. My biggest message, my biggest takeaway will be, if you are either of those the repressive nature or the reactive nature, and you're trying to deal with stress, keep in mind that your environment has a lot to do with that. Yes, so make sure that you get your inner environment in check, so that when you are faced with these energy fields that you can't even see, these auras that are impacting you, in times and places that you can't control, that at least your inner thoughts and feelings, like, you'll be able to check what you are aware of. You have a certain level of control over it. And just don't put yourself in physical environments that your inner environment is not ready for. Like, if you don't have to chance it, if you don't have to do it, why do it? All right, so thanks, y'all. I know that was a long one, but thank y'all for tuning in.